Hi everyone, my name is Daniil Chernyshov, and this is third episode of our show Russian Lawyers Review. And this is my co-host Ilya Chernyshov.
Still here.
And today we will be reviewing very important and very famous case which happened in the United States 5 years ago, and it is about killing of George Floyd. So I think pretty much everyone heard about this case, right? But we will dive a little bit into uh, legal aspects of that case because factual circumstances are known pretty much to everyone, right? And but we will go step by step how it happens and what acts, what rules were applied in that case, and a little bit of different interesting facts about U.S. Legal system. And I was actually surprised about some things which are not common in European or Russian legal systems. And so, just to recap the circumstances, 5 years ago, uh, police was called to a shop because someone paid for some kind of food or something with a counterfeit $20 bill. Police arrived at the scene and they were told that perpetrator is sitting in the car just next to this shop. So police officers came by. There was 3 people in the car, and the person who was at the steering wheel, uh, they were sitting in the car, and this person was George Floyd. So police officers asked those people and George Floyd to leave the car, and they told that George Floyd is under arrest for using the counterfeit bill. After that, he was resisting arrest. He denied to leave the car. Then he was overpowered and handcuffed. Um, and he was placed to sit on just on the pavement next to his car.
Okay, for this part, it sounds reasonable.
Yes, yes. So this is the very first part, and the another main hero of this episode, Derek Chauvin, who was actually indicted for his killing. He wasn't at this stage yet, so he arrived in the second police car, and he tried to put George Floyd into the back seat of his car to deliver him basically to the police station. But when they tried to put him into the car, he tried to resist it again. He started telling him that he can't breathe at that point. So he just wouldn't go into the car. And after that, Derek Chauvin and 2 his colleagues, police officers, just right next to the police car, which they were trying to put him into, they used the police neck restraint to fixate George Floyd on the ground.
I don't think we have a similar device in Russia. Or what they use? Was it like a special device?
No, it's just a position. Basically,
okay.
He was handcuffed with his hands behind his back, right? So he was resisting to be placed into this car, and he was fixated on the ground with this knee to neck restraint. So one knee of Derek Chauvin was on his back, and another was on the so-called nape of his neck, just in here.
Okay, yeah, definitely. We don't use it, I think.
Well, yeah. So I haven't seen that either, but it's interesting. And in the end, he repeated that he can breathe, and he was trying to move, but Derek Chauvin was keeping him on the ground, even after he stopped uh, showing any signs of life. So after 2 minutes, he stopped showing any signs of life. He released him after those 2 minutes. So, and eventually he was charged with 3 counts of murder. And it's actually interesting because the Attorney General of Minnesota, he overtook this case from the local Bureau of Investigation. They charged him 3 counts for the same act. It's actually very interesting because the first count was called second-degree murder, unintentional felony murder. The second count was third-degree murder, so-called depraved mind, eminently dangerous act. It's when there is still no intent to affect death, but the person must act eminently dangerous to others and evincing to a depraved mind without regard for human life. So usually it's applied when someone shoots into a crowd, for example, right? So it's like reckless behavior, but still he was charged with that. And third count, second-degree manslaughter, culpable negligence. So it's whereby the person creates an unreasonable risk and consciously takes chances of causing death or great bodily harm to another person. And I was really surprised because it's basically the prosecution tells jury, we have 3 different counts, 3 different qualifications of what happened, and you could choose out of those 3. So they are different formations of a crime, and he was found guilty on all 3 counts. So it's really interesting structure because still investigators and everyone in the case, they have the same evidence, right? So and they can connect the dots, and they must connect the dots and establish the causal effects relationship, and they must establish whether or not he was acting with certain intent. And it's interesting that, well, still he was convicted for the biggest crime, the second-degree murder, but still he was found guilty for all 3. So this structure is, I think, very interesting for people who are not affiliated to.
I guess from continental system, because for us, jury trial, it's mostly the the system when the jury concludes only matter of fact.
Yes.
So, and they tell if the crime happened, and if there is the all the all parts, all the elements of the crime, and if and the legal matters are decided by professional judge.
Yes.
So that's I think it's an eminent event, an eminent crime in US, because we didn't had any, I think, implications from that in our country, in our culture. But that was a great reminder for everyone, I think, who follow some international agenda, how different the agenda in the United States from our country.
Yes.
And after you shared also how the law recognized it, I see a huge difference in the legal systems, because in Russia, the similar issue, any kind of police brutality, when it goes beyond the legally allowed limit, because every country decides itself how soft or how hard the police officers, the enforcement, how hard and how it's violent, because the level of violence is quite different. And for us, all the time, I think it was very prominent and famous that if you go to US, you should be very careful and very polite with police officers,
Yes.
especially when you're in the car and if you go outside to the car. But here in Russia, the police officers are much more mild in interactions with the people, and if you don't show any direct and very clear violence, it's unlikely that you will face any violence from their side, because if they will do, they will have a huge paperwork to clarify that it was necessary. So, and that was reminder that what is on agenda and what is happening in the United States, it's quite not in the focus of our society. And also legal difference, it's huge, because here you shared that it was a murder, but in Russia we have a special crime which is designated for the police officers or any government officials who abuse the power, and the crime called abuse the power. And if in the result of abuse of the power there are severe consequences, not only death, but also it might be a heavy harm to the health, then it's separate crime. But penalty is quite similar. It's up to 15 years. So, and if it was just one case, so the maximum would be also 15, which is same for the regular crime of murder.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting also in a sense that in the United States there is a very big difference between federal level and state level. So this indictment for murder was at state level, but there was another trial which he pleaded guilty to at federal level, that he violated civil rights of George Floyd, and he got 21 year of prison. And those terms, the first term was 22 and a half, years. And second term is 21 years for civil rights offense. And they were counting simultaneously, which is also very interesting construction. And he was put into federal prison, well, for safety reasons. So that's another interesting fact. And third, I think very different to continental system and Russian system as well, is that they have this institution called coroner. Coroner is basically a medical expert.
Yeah, we have that.
Yeah, but he can rule cause of death, but he can say that it was a homicide. So it was a killing because in our country, it's just the reason of uh, basically death, right? So whether it's asphyxiation or cardiac arrests and so on and so on, right? But in there, they can say that it is a homicide because of that and that. So, and also, usually in the US, it is some kind of medical doctor who takes this place, but it also could be a position which could be elected for. So there could be elections for coroner. And in some places, it's not necessary for him to be a doctor, actually.
Well, the country is big, so maybe not enough doctors everywhere, but the penalty looks quite severe if compared with our country, where the 15 is gonna be a maximum, and also if you behave well during the serving in prison, you might cut the entire sentence even half. So it means it's not surprising that in United States one of the, or maybe the biggest prisons population in the world.
1.8 million people.
Okay, like some not small country.
Yeah, well, in Russia, as of 2023, it was 433,000.
Okay, maybe per capita, not
Per
that.
capita, it's twice as much.
Okay, so they really love this.
Incarceration, yes.
Okay.
Also, some people argue that black people are disproportionately represented in jail population. So that's some kind of cultural problem, probably, or systemic judicial problem of the United States. I don't know, because some people believe in that, some people don't. So it's also interesting to see what really affects the incarceration rates in that country.
Definitely, that's a pain point. I wish for US fellows to make the justice fair for everyone and find the balance between the brutality and human rights. And especially, I'm also happy that the agenda of defunding police haven't arrived to our country, and
I agree.
we seem spent appropriate, and we seem spent enough for the police, and we feel ourselves safe in our cities. That's good. So, and for police brutality globally, maybe our world will come to some equal level when every citizen is secure from abuse of power of the government.
And on this happy note, we can finish our episodes and wish you to be always compliant when you talk to the police in any country, especially if there is high chances and high levels of gun violence that could save your life. Thank you very much.
And next time, we'll speak about drug crimes in Western countries and drug crimes in Russia, and how differently such crimes are recognized by the law and by the legal order. Stay tuned.